Well, I think that there's a disappointment factor that's set in. I think a lot of black voters feel like the black community gave the most during the election. It was a historic election, 2020.
President of the United States. It's time for you to saddle up and really get something done, or else the Democrats are going to get wiped off the face of the earth. Maybe not quite that bad, but you know what I'm saying.
And have gotten the least. If you look at voting rights, so far, nothing. Police reform, so far, nothing. You look at some of the student loan stuff, very little. So what was motivating African American voters, left, right, and otherwise, were that somebody was going to come to our rescue. The day-to-day reality for black folks hasn't improved. In fact, because of inflation and other things, gotten worse. And so you're starting to see that disappointment factor set in.
So, in my opinion, one of the most inexcusable things that the Biden administration has done so far is their lack of action on police reform. And it's for multiple reasons. One, obviously, because it was what the Democrats ran on. The Democrats have a supermajority and they have all the opportunity in the world to deliver relief where the country is calling out for it in terms of tightening up law enforcement, changing up training, being able to hold law enforcement officers more accountable for shooting victims, things like that. But the reason why this is such a political disaster is because under the Trump administration, they passed the First Step Act. So you're walking into the midterms and the 2024 election having allowed the Republican Party, of all parties, the party who's openly against, defund the police movements, who's openly against, just basically restructuring law enforcement, period. You allowed the Trump administration to pass the First Step Act. Here we are going into the midterms with absolutely nothing having being done about strengthening law enforcement in this country. That is easily, possibly the worst political mistake that they've made.
You think it will change the voting patterns?
Well, listen, I think that it may well. Also, don't forget, you have had a concerted effort on the part of conservatives to recast the Republican Party as the party of the multiracial working class.
And we all know that the media can't wait for Donald Trump to come back 2024 because it's going to drive up the views. It's going to make everything go crazy. Even if Trump doesn't come back to Twitter, it doesn't matter. His voice is going to be amplified all the way to the moon and back. But the issue with this going into the 2024 elections is that the Democrats can't just be like, oh, big bad Trump. We can't let Trump back in office when you haven't done anything when you could. I mean, let's talk about Kamala Harris, the woman who's in a historic position, the first female vice president and the first black vice president, both of those. And yet we hardly ever see her. We continue to see reports coming out week after week about how Joe Biden and Kamala Harris basically can't stand each other, how they don't get along. And so you have a woman who could potentially be a huge inspirational figure, even if you're not totally on board with all of her politics. Just being able to stand strong and stand firm and have a loud voice. No, we don't even see her. And then we're going to go into the 2024 elections and the Democrats are going to try to shame progressives, shame the black community, and shame, pretty much everybody who doesn't want to vote for them if they don't show up to the polls. But y'all didn't even do anything about strengthening election laws. So, it's like just constant losses.
When you have a community that feels that it rescued the Democratic Party, maybe rescued American democracy, and can't get police reform done after George Floyd, that there's something wrong, and that disappointment factor started to show up.
Did the Democrats overpromise?
Overpromised, underdelivered so far.
Listen, at this point, really one of the only things that Joe Biden can do, as we talk about often, is something significant with student loan debt. That's all he can do. Countering the arguments that the Republican Party has about how the taxpayers are going to have to pay for it. That's easy to overcome. Just change the tax code, raise taxes on billionaires and corporations, legalize marijuana, switch things around like that. Doesn't matter. We'll collect those taxes. But that's one of the only things that the Biden administration can do that would provide lots of economic relief for millions of people. But if he doesn't do that, then this possibly will be one of the most lackluster failure Democratic administrations of modern times because he hasn't even been able to pass Build Back Better because of two people in the Senate. But you're the president of the United States. It's time for you to saddle up and really get something done, or else the Democrats are going to get wiped off the face of the earth. Maybe not quite that bad, but you know what I'm saying.